Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for joining us from wherever you are online to join us for this special Shabbat. For those who don't know, I'm Rabbi Miriam Terlinchamp, one of the proud rabbis of Temple Sholom, and we're so glad that you're joining us for Shabbat. We're doing something a little different tonight. We are joined here at the Monastery Studios for a Shabbat-ish experience, which basically means that we'll go through the Shabbat liturgy, but all from a unique original perspective. The amazing Ric Hordinski helped us create original liturgy and some music from other parts of our lives to create a worship experience that's unique to Temple Sholom and to the Jewish Passover and Shabbat experience. So that's a lot of original stuff, and we're so glad that you're here with us for the ride. I know you'll enjoy it just as much as I do. So as we begin, we'll just take a big breath in like we always do. Processing what the world has been like for us this week and just letting it go. And then one more time in, letting go of the hard things this week and carrying with us the good things into Shabbat and into Passover. And so with that, we'll begin our Shabbat experience by welcoming Shabbat by lighting the candles with Debbie Moffat in honor of her mother, Lillian Benson.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue with the watchword of our faith, Shema. Find yourself in this process, hearing it and saying it again, over and over again, trying to receive the words of Shema. Listen, Israel. Hear, O Israel. The Lord is one.
Shema
As we center ourselves with the sacred words of the Shema, our hearts open to the idea of wholeness, the sense that we're part of something and give ourselves to something so much greater than just the individual. And it is into that mysterious thread of connection that we grasp for when we're struggling, when we're in need of healing of body, mind, spirit. It is then that we pray to the holy connective tissue of the universe, asking for strength to guide us through these shadows, to restore our faith, to heal our bodies, and to return to us a place of gratitude and awareness for all that we have, holding fast the knowledge that we're made for good. In our community, we pray for a refuah shlema, a healing of body, mind, and spirit, for Mira Barner, Corinne Belford, Deborah Birch, Sheila Boniface, Karen Bunyan, Ellen Danelsky, Rabbi Alexander Duchovny, Jean Hauser, Phyllis Epstein, Phyllis Fine, Ken Goldman, Arnold Gottman, Charles Gutman, Judith Gutman, Bob Grossman, Jonathan Grossman, Rob Hill, Jim Hochberg, Ken Hughes, Pele Yankovic, Ethan Kadish, Gita Knudsen, Yael Kraus, Lee Krennick, Jennifer Hall, Elaine Heitfield, Zila Gershon Ben Hanoch Lieb HaKohen, Chava Leah, Grayson Malkin, Lou Levy, Joan Lieb, Barry Levy, Leslie Lisnick-Pate, Eva Minichi, Marcy Maxwell, Rhoda Meyer, Ellie Mendelson, Mika Ben Melvin, Lou Meerman, Phil Ryan, Bamaya Reed, David Rose, Rachel Rosen, Daniel Rosen, Larry Rubin, Jeff Sawyer, Ira Sham, Boris Shurkin, Louis Simon, Barry Simon, Archbishop Chuck Smith, Mahias Stoneman, Jim Tanner, Patty Walt, Stu Warshauer, Scott Yano, Chaim Ben Yaakov Nechama, and Chava Nesia Bat Chai Yisraela. And to all of these names, we add our own names as well, as we're all on a journey to healing and wholeness in some way. Baruch Atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings forth hope and healing. My amazing friend, Joey Taylor, reminded me of this poem today, and he taught about it so beautifully, I just want to share his Torah on this text. The poem is called 10 by Wendell Berry. Whatever is foreseen in joy must be lived out from day to day. Vision held open in the dark by our 10,000 days of work. Harvest will fill the barn, and for that the hand must ache, the face must sweat, and yet no leaf or grain is filled by work of ours. The field is tilled and left to grace. And yet no leaf or grain is filled by work of ours. The field is tilled and left to grace. That we may reap, great work is done while we're asleep. When we work well, a Sabbath mood rests on our day and finds it good. The hand must ache, the face must sweat, and yet no leaf or grain is filled by work of ours. The field is tilled and left to grace. That we may reap, great work is done while we're asleep. When we work well, a Sabbath mood rests on our day and finds it good. Tonight we honor Shabbat, the Sabbath, the holiest practice of our people, where we tell ourselves that there's more to life than work. Carving out a day of rest means that we speak the truth that the week feels unfinished. After all, there's always more. Something else we can pick up, something else that we can be cleaned, one more call or email or letter to be made. But here we are at the deadline that is Shabbat, and we need to admit for 24 hours that we are powerless against this feeling of unfinished work. We need to leave what is unfinished and pick up the rest that needs to happen. Shabbat invites us to stop producing, to cease from Pharaoh's work so we can tell the story of liberation, which includes wilderness, whose great gifts, besides manna and Torah, was Shabbat. This notion that the world does not depend just on our work. It is a tradition rich in confidence that if we stop for a bit and acknowledge that we have done our best to contribute to the world this week, that we've done what we could and cleaned the house as well as we should, but now is the time to let things come back into balance, to rest in the places we have been working, and work instead on the peace that can only come through conscious rest. The hand must ache, the face must sweat, and yet no leaf or grain is filled by work of ours. The field is tilled and left to grace, that we may reap, great work is done while we're asleep, and when we work well, a Sabbath mood rests on our day and finds it good.
Bring the high tree low, make the low tree high, and find rest in the shade of its branches. Bring the high things low, make the low things high. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav. Bring the high tree low, make the low tree high, and find rest in the shade of its branches. Bring the high things low, make the low things high. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav.
There's a sliver of moon climbing over the hill. The night's too big to swallow, it's too tough to kill. You're too footsore to run, and you're too worn to fight. So you close your eyes and wait for the light. So you sat in the garden with your back to the wall, afraid to sit pretty, afraid to stand tall. You ate of the fruit, still you don't know what's right. So you close your eyes and wait for the light. Wait for the light, wait for the light. Like a babe in the cradle with the shutters drawn tight. When the oil in your lamp won't last the night, you just close your eyes and wait for the light. In a fallow field waiting till spring is in sight, oh, you sag and you sing and you break in the night. 'Cause your heart is a sparrow that's too tired to take flight. So you close your eyes and wait for the light. Wait for the light, wait for the light. Close your eyes and wait for the light. When you hear the chain creaking and the collar seems tight, you just close your eyes and wait for the light. Wait for the light, wait for the light. Close your eyes and wait for the light. Through the smoke of the battle, when there's no land in sight, you just close your eyes and wait for the light.
Something gorgeous about the Jewish tradition is the understanding that you can only understand the impact of an experience, positive or traumatic, after you've already made it through it. When we are in bondage in Egypt, we're not telling stories about how grateful we should feel. We talk about all the scary stuff that paves the way to liberation, like frogs and locusts and rivers turning into blood. And even when we make it through and we step into the wilderness for the first time, we dance and then immediately start complaining. It's just too much to expect of ourselves to have perspective while enduring something life-changing. We are still in the middle of a communal crisis. And even if you don't or haven't had COVID, we are still part of a collective trauma of this current movement. We are not the ones on the outside taking care of people who actually have it hard. We are part of the people who have it hard. And it's beautiful the way that each of us are giving to others. Thank you. It's critical to have gratitude and be thankful for what we do have. And it's also okay to admit that right now, things are scary and difficult and certainly less than ideal. In this moment, when we're in it, this is not the time for guilt around our natural talents and behaviors. This is about you making it through to the other side. So before any self-hate happens for being more tired version of yourself, or being the person who wants to eat more or sleep more or drink more, or be crazy super organized, or before you get mad at yourself for not being the person who's using this time to clean out all of your closets, or not being the one doing amazing art projects with your kids, before you cast any of that shade on yourself for not being that person or doing those things, just stop for a minute and be kind. Think about the fact that you are in it and you're just trying to survive this moment, and that you're affected by all of the elements that are going on. And B'ezrat Hashem, with the help of God, it's looking like there actually will be hope on the horizon. And there will be a moment when we enter into a new normal. And we are going to need and want to figure out who we are as part of this pandemic moment and how the crisis affected us existentially and physically. But right now, while we're all in it, this is not the time to evolve. This is the time when we absorb and appreciate gifts that we have, the unique things that made you in utero, that God gave just to you. Whether that's you're an amazing cook or a listener or organizer or inventor, pick the gift and just live into that. Try that this week, this Shabbat, being in that space. And the things that you aren't so good at, the things that don't come as naturally to you as the other gifts that come to you, send all those things some love. Appreciate the fact that not a single one of us entered this world with all of our parts. We're not a giant puzzle that can be assembled to look exactly like the picture on the box. In fact, we enter this world more like a crappy IKEA cabinet whose instructions are both simple and impossible, and you've sworn that there's some extra parts or missing pieces. Maybe, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Because at the end of the day, we're each that one wobbly looking shelf, but just because it's shaky and maybe even a little uneven doesn't make it less functional or beautiful. In fact, this ramshackle shelf, this collection of odds and ends of mismatched gifts is exactly what the world needs right now. Imperfection, with attention on what we were born in this world to do. And the rest of it, let that be the problem for future selves to work on. This notion of being kind to ourselves, by not expecting ourselves to evolve during a moment of trauma, can feel counterintuitive. Don't we want to advance? But you can't improve or learn from your pains while you're in the middle of it. That learning and personal evolution happens once the horizon clears and we know that we and those we love and our world are safer. The path of improvement is not about spiritual maturation. It's about getting more in tune with God through granting ourselves more grace. And I know it's a strange paradox that we're living in right now, because technically we are getting more mature by not improving, by which I mean we're not leveraging that maturity to an outward gain. Our leverage is that right now we are gaining the incredible gift of greater understanding of who we are. And this is true for us personally as well as for us communally. Passover is all about telling the story of bondage to liberation. And it's cyclical. In this holiday, we never reach Promised Land. We never really get to where we want to get. And each year we end our Seder with the phrase, L'shana haba'a b'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. But we don't actually mean the Holy Land. We mean next year, may we be wholly redeemed, living in the promise. And the bitterness of our current moment is always reflected back to the story of the ancient Israelites. In every generation, a new story of bitterness and pain, a new story of wilderness and finding our place, and also a new hope for Promised Land. Jonathan Safran Foer, in his New American Haggadah, wrote, "Here we are, individuals remembering a shared past in pursuit of a shared destiny. The Seder is a protest against despair. The universe might appear deaf to our fears and hopes, but we're not. So we gather and share them and pass them down. We've been waiting for this moment for thousands of years. More than 100 generations of Jews have been here as we are, and we will continue to wait for it, and we will not wait idly. This moment we're in is part of a much longer story, one of loss and triumph and trying against the odds to live into our best selves. And this Shabbat, this week, this Passover, give yourself a break. Go big with your tiny Seder, or just forget about it and just go straight to the wine and the flourless cake. Do this week in the way that is most honoring of your gifts. And just leave the guilt of not doing it right or not being better. Just leave that out of it. The story we're telling, the holiday we are honoring, says that in moments like these, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. And the bread may taste more like a cracker, but it's what you've got on you. And it's okay. It is okay while we are in it to embrace that holy, wobbly, imperfect self, each of us with our gifts and our weaknesses, because when you add it all up, we are whole community of love. So in that spirit, I want us to sing together our song of gratitude that rejoices in the knowledge that Dayenu, we are enough. And for those in the know, you'll notice that we kept the traditional chorus, but added some English verses as a response to the current moment.
In the future we'll have peace. In the future standing Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
So this next song that we're doing is an old spiritual, and one of the things that I have been enjoying in learning not only about Judaism as a religion or a philosophy has been enjoying learning about the culture and how often horrible tragedy is able to be looked at with a sense of humor. And I feel like this song really highlights that whole idea. This is called Mary, Don't You Weep.
Oh Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh
Psalm 23. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai ro'i lo'achzar, binot deshet yar bitzaini. Almei minuchot yaraleni nafshi yoshvev yancheni, v'gmarlek tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elek b'tzetz al mavet lo irara, ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishantecha hemene achamuni, ta'aroch lefanai shalcha neget sarai, tishanta v'Hashem erosi kosiv rei. Ach tov v'chesed yirdufuni kol yemei chayai. V'shavti b'veit Adonai lo'orach yamim. Adonai my shepherd, I lack for nothing. In meadows thick with grass you lay me down. Across streams serene you guide me. My life you restore, leading me serenely in well-worn paths of justice to glorify your name. And even when I walk in a valley dark as death's shadow, I shall fear no ferocity, for you are with me. Your staff and your walking stick, they reassure me. You set a table before me along with my enemies. You rain rich oils round my head, my cup overflowing. For certain, goodness and the love of your covenant will run after me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in God's house for long days, long days. We mourn the recent passing of Barbara Sutter, Henry Harris Jr., and Michael Kalai. We also acknowledge the 7 shootings in 7 days in our country, 2 of them mass shootings, and our hearts break for them and their families as we grieve the unnecessary loss of life. We commemorate the anniversaries, the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of the passing of Martin Gould, David Kouris, Saul Asness, Jerry Sugarman, Louis Scheer, Dr. Leo Solomon, Lucille Lease, Robert Friedman, Raphael Shapira, Anna Levy, Jack Gale, Ray Levin, Betty Fairman, Mary Urin, Michael Bowen, Leonard Rosenberg, Joe Rubin, and Lillian Benson. For all those who are mourning, we extend our condolences. Please add the names of those you love, of those who are no longer living, as we rise together as a community of comfort with our words of Kaddish Yatom, a prayer of comfort and affirmation. Yikadal v'yikadash Shemei Rabbah. B'alma tivrach irite v'amlich machute. B'chayechon u'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol be Yisrael ba'agala u'v'izman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'me'al maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Kedusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata ta'amiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chaim haleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be of blessing. We continue with one phrase out of Psalm 23, Ki ata imadi, because you are with me. As we conclude, a special thanks to Debbie Moffat for lighting the candles in memory of her beloved mother, Lillian Benson, to our incredible musicians, Brooklyn Ray for her gorgeous vocals, Dan Dorff on drums, Baba Miller with percussion, Brooks on bass, our sound recording here in this gorgeous space at the Monastery Studio, Jake at Cricket Media for making this video production and editing possible, and a special heartfelt thanks for the amazing artistry and genius and partnership that we have with Ric Hordinski. A special thank you, of course, to our Temple Sholom staff team and all that you do to make our community strong. And I appreciate so much all of you who are here and part of our community, who connect with us in patience and share with us all your words of support. Thank you for keeping us and one another going in this pandemic season. We are so grateful for you. And as we conclude, I want to reach all of you a special Chag Pesach Sameach, a happy and meaningful Passover, whether you're Zooming or you're going to be outside or just sitting at your table. I just want you to know that we are on this journey wherever we are together. And for those of you who are interested in a communal experience online, just check out our Facebook or our website or your community email for an opportunity for family engagement on Sunday morning, where we're having a family Seder followed by a peer-led matzah taffy making. Or you can join us that evening on Sunday evening for an online community second Seder. Everyone's welcome. Just let us know you're coming so you can get the Zoom link. And finally, I would like to leave you with a blessing. So just do whatever feels right and natural to receive blessings. You can put your hands out. You can put your hands on your head like maybe your parents did. You can give yourself a hug. You can take a knee because there's still plenty to be resisting out there. Whatever feels right to receive a blessing, this ancient priestly benediction of our people, do that. Yivrechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'chonecha. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha. And when God's light does shine upon you, may you be reminded that you are needed and loved for exactly who you are. V'yasem lecha shalom. And may that truth bring you peace and well-being. Shabbat shalom and happy Passover.
Wait for the light, wait for the light, like a babe in the cradle with the shutters drawn tight. When the oil in your lamp won't last the night, you just close your eyes and wait for